All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and today I wanted to do a classic physique Olympia prediction video. A lot of you guys have been asking for this, so I definitely wanted to do one for you guys. It's going to be a pretty intense classic physique Olympia lineup. You've got 31 total names on this qualified competitors Olympia list right here. So I wanted to go over this list, and I want to give my predictions for the top 10. So I want to do placings 7 through 10 in no particular order, and then I want to do top 6 in order. Now, this is going to be a very hard lineup to predict. Like I said, 31 total competitors qualified for this year's Mr. Olympia. I think there's a couple guys in there that are not doing it and have confirmed that they're not doing it. But I want to go over this list before we get started and give you guys an idea of who you can expect to see in this lineup. So, in this competitor list, Ahmad, Breon Ainsley, Jason Brown, Jose, Maria Mete, Burry, Chris Bumstead, Alex Combranero, DeAndre Campbell, R.D. Caldwell Jr., Logan Franklin, Sammy Ganem, Swin Ham, Jonathan Hambrick, Danny Hester, David Hoffman, Christopher Hunt, Song Japil, Brian Jones, Jose Marte, Ricky Moten Jr., Mayengo Park, Arash Rabar, who I believe is not doing it this year, Terence Ruffin, Peter Scalio, Ali Shamsgamar, Mike Summerfield, Fabian Sylvan, who I believe also could not make it to this year's Olympia. Wesley Vissers, of course, Divine Wilson, Maxime Yades, Danny Yunin, and Giuseppe Christian Zagarella from Italy. Now, I think the important thing to note here is that pretty much half of your top 6 from last year is not going to be at this year's Mr. Olympia in Classic Physique. Chen Kang, who took 5th, he is not on the qualified competitors list. Of course, you've got Keon Pearson and George the Bull Peterson, who were both in the top 6 last year. George the Bull Peterson, of course, he was 3rd, and then you had Keon in 4th. So neither of them will be in Classic Physique this year because obviously they transferred over to that 212 category. And just the top 10 in general, if you're looking at these scorecards here, Kuro Jopara, who was 9th last year, he's qualified for the 2021 Mr. Olympia, but not this year. Stanimal, he was 10th last year. He's not qualified for Classic Physique this year. He's not doing it. So pretty much the top 10 right now is wide open for newcomers, for guys that maybe have made improvements. This lineup is wide open right now in terms of guys that were in the top last year that are not here. They're not around this year. They're just not in this lineup. So, I mean, it's crazy to think that there's 31 competitors, and I think I just named 5 guys. 5 out of the top 10 last year are not going to be there. So there's 5 new open spaces in the top 10 in the Classic Physique Olympia this year. So it's going to be very competitive, and like I said, it's going to be hard to predict. So let's get back over to this list here, and I'm going to start giving some predictions. So for my top 10, this is placing 7 through 10. I'm not going to give these in any particular order, but these are guys who I think will be outside the top 6, but within the top 10. The first guy, I think, is Logan Franklin. Logan Franklin has made tremendous improvements as a Classic Physique competitor, transferring over from Men's Physique. He finally won the New York Pro in Tampa to qualify for the 2020 Classic Physique Olympia. So he's qualifying off of a pretty big win there. And Logan is a guy, like I said, I think he's made a lot of improvements. I do think he still has a lot of improvements that he could still make. But so far, every update, everything that we've seen from Logan Franklin, I think, has been extremely impressive. He had a very impressive showing at the New York Pro. He had great conditioning there. He's got a really good structure to his physique. He's got a nice V-taper. He's a taller guy, kind of similar to a Chris Bumstead frame, a Chris Bumstead physique. His arms, you can make the argument, are a little bit better than Bumstead's, but I think he still has a little bit more filling out to do, especially his back, maybe his lower body a little bit. While I think he looks very impressive as is, he is a little bit taller. I think he does have a little bit more frame to fill out to be very competitive in this Olympia. But I think Logan is going to be on the top end of the top 10, like 7th or 8th, or possibly competing for 6th place. I think Logan really has a very, very classic structure to his physique. He's proven that he can bring some really good conditioning. He's got really nice lines, really good symmetry. And I think Logan is going to be up there with the top guys. Keep in mind, this is Logan's first Classic Physique Olympia, so it's hard to make a prediction that he's going to be fighting for the top spots, like 3rd through 6th, but it's entirely possible he could be higher than where I'm predicting him in 7th, but I do think Logan is going to be solidly within the top 10. So another guy that I like within the top 10 from 7th through 10th is David Hoffman. So last year, David Hoffman was 11th at the Classic Physique Olympia. He brings really good conditioning. I don't think he has the prettiest physique for Classic, but his conditioning is good. He's got decent structure. He's got a nice vacuum pose. He's a guy, he's got a tremendous fan base as well. But he's a guy, like I said, he was 11th last year. So with 5 of those top 10 placings opening up, if he can bring that same conditioning that he brought last year or better, I think it would be a really hard argument to say that he wouldn't be top 10 this year. With those 5 placings opened up for him to move up from his 11th place placing last year, I think he brings a conditioning that would allow for him to do that, and I think he would be somewhere around 8th or 9th in this lineup. David Hoffman, definitely a fan favorite, and I can definitely see him being in the top 10 this year. He's got a great physique. He's rock solid. When you think of hard, like I said, a hard, grainy physique in Classic, Dave Hoffman is the guy that comes to mind for me, and he to me has a top 10 Olympia caliber physique. So another guy that I think will be top 10, there's 2 more top 10 placings left before we get into the top 6. Danny Hester. So Danny Hester, if you guys didn't know, he actually won the first ever Classic Physique Olympia. I believe that was 2016. Danny Hester, he dropped down to 12th last year, but like I said, that top 10 has a lot of open placings. Actually, I think there's 6 guys that were in the top 10 last year that will not be there this year. Arash Rabar, actually, I'm looking at it, he was 8th last year, so that's another placing. So Danny being in 12th last year, I think if he improves a little bit, now he is an older guy, I believe he's in his mid-40s, I think he would be a guy that would be in that conversation for the top 10. The fact that he's one of the 3 Mr. Olympias that has won the Classic Physique that's going to be on stage, I don't know if they're just kind of moving away from his type of physique as far as what they want as the Classic Physique Olympia champion, but I think typically, I mean, he comes in pretty good condition, so I don't think the issue was conditioning. I think the issue is just, I think they might be moving away from his physique, but I guess we'll see. But to me, I could see him being within the top 10 again this year. And the final guy in the top 10 outside of the top 6, I would have Danny Younan. So Danny Younan, he placed 7th last year. I think he does have potential to move up. I think it could be between like him and Logan and the next guy that I'm going to talk about, maybe fighting it out for that 6th, 7th, and 8th place spot. I think he's going to be on the top end of the top 10, so he's going to be closer to the top 6. Danny Younan, very impressive physique. He's a shorter guy, brings great conditioning, great lines, vacuum pose, small waist. I really like Danny's physique, but we'll see what direction the judges are headed this year. I think if you put him next to a taller guy like Logan Franklin that's got a very different look to his structure, it would be an interesting comparison. And I think that's where you're going to find him in a call-out probably with Logan and Wesley. Wesley is going to be the next guy that I'm going to talk about here. So getting into the top 6, Wesley Vissers is the guy that I'm predicting to take 6th place here. Wesley, I think, is going to be the most improved Classic Physique athlete of the year. Wesley, he took 10th at the Arnold Classic in 2019, and he's looked like he's made tremendous improvements to his physique from a conditioning standpoint. We're going to find out if he's improved his legs. If he has improved his legs, this is kind of a conditional 6th place. His conditioning looks like it's going to be definitely enough to get him in the top 6. His upper body structure is decent. I think he needs a little bit of improvement to his back from the last showing that he had. His back, his legs, and his conditioning, I think, would be the 3 points that would need to come up. But the conditioning he has proved from the physique updates that we've seen so far, I don't think anybody could argue that Wesley's conditioning right now, he's looking like one of the most conditioned guys in this lineup. And I think that's going to carry him a long way because the judges, that's what they told him they wanted to see from him. And he is giving the judges what they want. So I couldn't see him, he's given them exactly what they asked for. So I couldn't see him being that far away from the top placings. Definitely not outside of the top 10. But like I said, he could be in that call out for 6th. I think it's going to be like him and Logan and Danny, possibly Dave Hoffman in a call out together, looking for who is going to be in that 6th place spot. But Wesley Vissers, for sure, based on what I've seen, I think he's going to crack the top 6 this year. And I think it's going to be the best version of Wesley that we have ever seen at the 2020 Classic Physique Mr. Olympia. Actually, you know what? Looking at this lineup, I'm going to bump Wesley up to 5th because here's where I'm thinking it's going. So I think the judges are moving in a direction of a physique like Chris Bumstead's, a taller guy, kind of a longer, more flowing physique, maybe not so short and compact, more of an Arnold Schwarzenegger version of what Classic Physique is. So by that logic, I'm actually going to bump Wesley up to 5th here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Logan in 6th. So I'm going to have Logan Franklin in the top 6 this year. Logan Franklin in 6th and Wesley Vissers in fifth place, because here's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to have a call out with Logan, Wesley, and Danny Unin. And Danny, like I said, he's a shorter guy. He's a little bit more compact. He still has really good lines and good conditioning. But I think they are going to move in the direction of this type of physique. A Wesley Vissers type of physique, a Logan Franklin type of physique, a Chris Bumstead type of physique. And for that reason, I think when you have a call out of Wesley, Danny, and Logan, I think Wesley and Logan are going to win that call out, and Danny's probably going to end up in 7th. So I think you're going to have Danny Unin in 7th, Logan Franklin in 6th, Wesley Vissers in 5th. So that's my prediction right now for 7 through 5. So who do I have in 4th place? I have Alex Combernero in 4th place. Alex Combernero was 6th at last year's Classic Physique Olympia. He just won the 2020 Classic Physique Arnold Classic, so he's got a lot of momentum going into this show. Like I said, he was 6th last year. I think he's going to move up 2 placings. He's going to be 4th, and he's going to be within that first call out. I think we're going to have a call out of him and the other 3 guys that I'm about to talk about. So Alex Combernero in 4th, bringing me to 3rd place. In 3rd place, I've got Rough Diesel, Terence Ruffin. Terence Ruffin, to me, he is like the epitome of classic physique. I think he's got a fantastic physique, but more importantly, I think posing is very important in classic physique, because back in the day, that was something they really, really worked on and really, really emphasized, was the posing routine. Like you see in Pumping Iron, Arnold and Franco are like taking ballet lessons to help them with their posing. That's how crucial posing was back in the day. And I think Terence, he's one of the best posers in the IFBB, hands down. I love Terence's posing routines, and I love the attention to detail that he puts. But in addition to that, he's got an extremely balanced physique. He's very well proportioned, great V-taper, vacuum pose. The way he hits poses that are very flattering to his physique, and that's why I think he's a strong, very strong classic bodybuilder. Now he took like a year off to make improvements, and then he qualified for this year's Mr. Olympia, and I think he looks fantastic. And I think Terence, to me, he's my idea of what I would see from a shorter guy in classic physique, and I want to see him in 3rd. I think he's going to be in 3rd, and I think he's going to be comparing very favorably with Breon. Now, I've got Breon in 2nd, and like I said, I think Breon and Terence have really comparable physiques, and depending on who's in better shape, and it's looking like Breon is going to be the one in better shape, is going to be who wins that call-out. So, Breon in 2nd. Breon looks phenomenal. Everything that we've seen of Breon, all the physique updates that we've seen, all the videos that he's posted, all the posing updates, Breon's conditioning looks insane. Probably the best version of Breon that we've ever seen. But the reason why I have Chris Bumstead winning, number one, I think the judges are moving more in a direction of Chris Bumstead's physique as what a classic physique really is. Chris and Breon have 2 very different physiques, and keep in mind, Chris Bumstead was off last year. He said many times that he feels like he was like 75% last year. At 75%, he still beat Breon, and I felt like last year Breon wasn't off. I felt like Breon was still on last year. He was a little bit soft, but I feel like he was still pretty close to 100%, and Chris was way off of 100%, and Chris still beat him, albeit by 1 point. This year, Chris has no injuries. Chris is healthy. Chris has had a very full and long prep for this Olympia. I think he's going to be at 100%, and I think if an off version of Chris beats an on version of Breon, I think it might not matter how good Breon's conditioning is. If Chris comes in 100% on with no issues, and he beat him at 75% when he was dealing with health issues and he was sick and he was off, I think he's going to beat him again, even though I got to give Breon props. He looks absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, possibly the best version of Breon we've ever seen. But I think the judges are going in the direction of Chris, and they showed us that last year. I mean, they picked him as the winner. That's the physique that they want to represent classic physique. I mean, you just gotta call it like you see it. Him and Breon have extremely different physiques, and they chose Chris's as what they think a classic physique Mr. Olympia should look like. And to me, that says something powerful about the direction they're going with this division. So those are my predictions for classic physique. I've got Logan in 6th, Wesley in 5th. We've got Alex Combernero in 4th place. In 3rd place, I've got Terence Ruffin. In 2nd place, I've got Breon Ainsley. And in 1st place, I've got Chris Bumstead. Let me know what your guys' top 6 is, who you guys have winning. I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree. I'm sure a lot of you guys will disagree. But either way, let me know in the comment section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.